Hello everybody, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and today I'm going to shit all over this knife and I'm going to share with you guys why you should not get this knife at all. I purchased this knife off of Amazon. I did not get it for free or anything crazy like that. It's a budget knife. You can get it now for $29.99. And while you'd probably be questioning yourself, why is this dude harshing on a dirt cheap knife? Well, it's because in this price range, or around this sub $50 price range, which I would consider super budget territory, this is a very competitive space, or has become a very competitive space within just this year, which there's a lot of things that are going on here that are just an absolute no-go for sure. I did do some light modifications just to the blade itself. I wanted to see if I can be able to make it a little bit more comfortable by widening the plunge grind sharpening choil area to make a space for full grippage right there, getting your finger on there. Now I have extra large size hands, but I do have rather slim fingers, so even myself, I had to remove a good bit of material. As it comes from the manufacturer, there's very little space to creep up on that blade and actually get a more choked up grip on it. But I'm just gonna go ahead and we're gonna do the typical size comparisons. We're gonna take the weight and then just talk about the listing overall. So this is going to be a larger, I would say, a full-size knife. So starting off, we have the Spyderco PM2. So I just have 6 knives here to share with you guys, so you guys can see what this is all about, at least in comparison to some popular models. This is the WE Knives Praxis. So those are the larger guys for comparison. Have 2 medium ones, the Civivi Vision FG. It is on the dot with length with the Vision FG. Here is the wonderful Benchmade Bug Out. So good bit shorter than that guy for sure. Spyderco Native 5. Native 5 is definitely going to be a whole lot stumpier. And the Urban EDC F5.5. So yeah, these guys are definitely a whole lot smaller. So that is it for size comparison. Let us move on to weight. I don't remember this thing being anything crazy. It's not super lightweight, but it doesn't feel like a brick either. It feels like what it really should be. 3.9. Not bad, not bad. It's not a pocket brick whatsoever, but there could have been a little bit more effort put in for weight relief. This does have full steel inset steel liners, which is cool, right? They're inset. They're very flush. Looks like it was well machined or pocketed out, which is nice. Yeah, but there could have been some definite weight relief in there. You can see, hopefully you can see. Yeah, so there was no attempt for weight relief, which is unfortunate. Alrighty, so talking about the listing, we already went over price. It's 30 bucks, right? Nothing crazy, nothing fancy. Super budget knife. But there are a couple things here that I thought were worth mentioning off the listing. Now, the title is Perwin Pocket Knife Folding Button Lock Razor Sharp D2 Black G10 Handle for EDC Collection Outdoor Activities, right? So they got pretty much everything right, except for the fact that while this is D2, it was not razor sharp. It was absolute trash out of the box. The cutting edge was all over the place. It came with a smile already from the factory, and you can see on my original unboxing of this what it looked like versus how it looks now. That little mark right there, that was from my Dremel. Don't worry about that. But of course, the modifications that I've done have not affected the actual action or operation of this knife. It's simply just removing material from the blade, just for a little bit more extra choke up room. I did lay back the edge a whole lot. It is at a 17-degree angle, and while this is on a more medium blade stock thickness, behind the edge it is very, very robust. But because it has a 17-degree edge, it cuts probably just as well as my Hinder XM18. Where is it? It's a little bit out of reach, but let me grab it there. So this guy, right? Kind of a brick, pretty thick behind the edge, also quite robust. This has a, I want to say a 19 or 18 degree edge, but because it is shaped the way that it is, cuts pretty thick. It's not going to be a mega champion cardboard demolisher whatsoever. And this honestly feels quite like it. One of the things I actually do enjoy about this knife is its size. I love the size. I love the shape, the dimensions. I love the blade shape. The drop point in correlation to the pivot is a very low drop point. I love it. It is wonderful for utility cuts. If you creep up on it and get your finger up on the tip of that, it feels very controlled, very secure for the most part. There is some light jimping there on the back. It is extremely smooth and rounded off. It is basically useless, which is unfortunate. The best thing about this knife is that they actually put good thumb studs on there. So there's a good bit of grip. There are just 2 little steps there on those studs. And they are removable, I believe, with a T6. T8 for the pivot on both sides. It states that the pivot is captured, but the actual steel that they use for the liners is so incredibly soft. I actually ended up widening that D shape, and it was just so poorly machined to begin with that now it is actually a free spinning pivot, which is unfortunate. So there's that. T6 for the body screws, T6 for the pocket clip. It is reversible, which is cool, but you're not going to want this piece of garbage in your pocket anyway, because it's probably not going to fit in your pocket. Once you get it in, it's going to rip your pants right off of your body. So the pocket clip is a very simple and sleek, just regular bent steel pocket clip. While it looks good and you would think it would function just fine, there's a little bit of ramp to get it into your pocket. It's not sharp whatsoever, so that's nice. But it is not recessed into the scales, and the buttons, the actual tops of the screws are not flat. So you have just this tiny bit of space there to push this down into your pockets, which eventually will fray up your pants even more if you want this to sit properly in your pocket. So that's unfortunate. I did bend it out a little bit, but then it became a tapper quite easily. It was really annoying, and it just wouldn't stay in the pocket anymore. So that's unfortunate as well. Another thing too, well, actually, you know what? We'll talk about the button lock and that horribleness in a second. But another portion of the listing states that the where does it say? Where does it say it was one of these? Oh yeah, the pivot assembly. They claim that there are copper ball bearings. Absolutely not. These are just standard phosphor bronze, like that stamped cage phosphor bronze, and I believe they're actually just steel bearings. So, but because of how loose and goosey everything is assembled, it looks like it's a very smooth knife. And while it is, it feels like it. There's play in essentially every direction. It doesn't lock out completely solid, which is very unfortunate. I did go ahead and stretch the spring to hopefully create more tension, pushing the button further up and solidifying the blade in place when opened, and it did not work. So that is also unfortunate. So they lie about it being razor sharp D2. They lie about it being copper ball bearings, trying to do something fancy. It's not actually there. It's not actually true. It says Rockwell hardness 60 plus. I doubt that. It was very easy to remove material from this, and it is D2. You know what? I got plenty of experience sharpening D2 on cheaper or middle range price knives. D2 is a great material when it's actually heat treated well, and preferably with some form of black wash or DLC coating on top of that to help with corrosion. Now, in where I live, the high desert area, it's dry as hell out here. I don't really deal with any type of corrosion. The only thing I have ever corroded before is maybe some S35VN and then some uncoated M4. But that's because it was a knife that I was carrying. It was sweaty in my pocket, and yeah, it was just, so that's my fault. But it's not just gonna sit there and corrode away sitting in a box. So I'm glad that it does have a coating. I don't know what the coating is on it. I don't even think it says here. Nope, it just is black. And then it says military grade fiberglass resin for the scales. This is G10. So while maybe at one point it was developed for military use, as most things are that we use for, daily use, yeah, this is just G10. It didn't need to be worded that way. This is really a listing and a knife and a product from a brand that is really trying to, I guess, bolster itself up more to people who don't know any better, which is really unfortunate because 5-6 years ago, or maybe even a little bit more, when I started collecting and my journey into this wonderful hobby, I was most definitely led astray by brands like this, and it really pisses me off that they still exist. And I mean, this is a new one and it's coming out with this old bullshit. I mean, this is just not okay, not okay at all. So I hope a lot of newbie people and people that just don't know squat about knives actually see this so they know what to look out for, because this is very unsafe. You're buying something from a company that is very much willing to lie to you about the materials that they use, or just make things sound fancier than they actually are. Now, the fact that they're using D2, if it truly is in fact D2, I'm okay with that. At this price point, absolutely. You know what? I've paid, I think over $100 for D2 before, and I'm completely okay with it. It's a good blade material. If you know how to sharpen it, if you know how to maintain it, it's fine. It's just fine. There's nothing really wrong with it. But chances are the heat treat on this is also garbage. What else can I crap on? The fact that they have a picture, and this is a no-go, absolutely no-go in the hobby. They have a picture of somebody carrying this on the outside of their pocket for super fast tactical deployment. No, that is very unsafe. You do not keep a knife or a multi-tool or a box opener, box cutter hanging outside of your pocket, especially if you're in public. Now, I'm not really the one to say, oh, the world's after you, there's dangerous people out there, but there are. If you work in a public space and somebody sees you have a knife sticking out on your the outside of your person, somebody is more likely to grab it off of you and probably just steal it just because people do that. People steal shit regardless of what or how much value they think it is in this item. It's $30. That's $30 lost for you if you carry it like this. So don't. Put it in your pocket, the inside of your pocket, like a normal person. And if you do purchase this and you do manage to get it inside your pocket and seated well enough, the next time you go to take it out, it's gonna rip your pants off. So there's that. And then it says perfect gift for the holidays. No, don't waste your money on this. If you guys want recommendations floating around this price point of what to buy for a significant other in your life, there are plenty of other options. Now, I don't have a whole lot of $30 budget knives, but I do have a couple that are at that price point or very close to it. So if you can justify $30, If you wait a couple another weeks, you could probably add maybe 20 bucks to that and get something that's going to last you and run circles around this garbage here. Do not buy this. Do not buy this. This is just absolutely awful. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about was, also the polish that is on these little standoffs here. It's a coating. It's not an actual. It's not actual polished metal, because when I went to disassemble, I could see that there were parts on the edges that were flaking off, and it's kind of like this like bronzy kind of metal underneath. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's a coating to be polished. That's really bad. Also, the last thing I want to harp on is the button lock. The spring is so absolutely underpowered for this level of blade. The weight, the thickness, the way that everything else is machined around it is just so absolutely poor. Up and down, you can feel it, and I felt it pretty much from the unboxing. Side to side, you can crank down on it and you can completely eliminate side to side, but then you have horrendous action, and you can actually feel the actual bearings skipping a little bit in there because they're being mashed into the soft surrounding steel liners there. So that's very unfortunate. Overall, I would say this is probably one of the worst knives I've ever reviewed. And I know, again, this is a $30 knife. Dude, why are you crapping all over a $30 knife? It's because there are things that are better than this at the same price point. The button lock, it sticks out way too much. It is extremely sensitive, with just the slightest little tap, and it actually moves a good bit. So it's not even fully engaged or disengaged, and it's just, this is a huge safety hazard. Somebody will be sent to the hospital, and it's just not good at all. Now this could have been a banger of a knife if it was manufactured by somebody like Kubi, QSP, Best Techman, Savivi, Sencut. Sencut will run circles around this, and I understand that Sencut is the budget brand of a very well established premium knife company, We Knife Co., but still, they started somewhere. So I don't know where Perwin is getting their stuff manufactured, but they need to stop. They definitely need to stop. Now, if they wanted to, they can take this pattern, this shape, the overall design and silhouette, and they can sell it to somebody else who's actually going to make a real knife worth your guys' hard-earned money. And you know what? Keep the stock thickness. Keep the fact that it's thick behind the edge. Just sharpen it to where it's actually going to cut well. Make kind of like what I did here, where it's an actual proper sharpening choil. While I kind of made it look ugly, this is how it should have been done from the factory, for safety reasons, also aesthetic, but mainly safety and keeping the knife looking good and properly cutting. The thumb studs are fine. Make the jimping further all the way up. This could definitely be a harder use full size button lock. I like that the steel liners are recessed, but make the spring 10 times stronger, lower the height of the actual button lock by 50%, and then put an actual, just screw the bent steel pocket clip. Just put a wire clip on there. You can't mess up a wire pocket clip. And then the T6 for the body screws, just leave it as is. These, they gotta go. Maybe do a backspacer, maybe not, or maybe just actually use polished pieces of metal for the little standoffs there. And keep the blade material D2, and you know what, this would be a banger of a budget knife, but they failed in almost every single aspect of making a knife, which is absolutely terrible. So if you guys want some recommendations for budget knives, this is probably going to be the closest one to compare. This is the Free Tiger, I forget the model, FT2103. This is in who knows what, coated D2. Excellent, an excellent little slicer. Thumb studs, pretty darn good. Thickness in hand, they're good. This is a much safer knife to operate. It has very overly powered omega springs, and it's absolutely charming for this size of a knife. I love it. I highly recommend it. The pocket clip, it is done quite well. There is so much room for this to properly sit into your pocket. It's not a hot spot. It's not sharp up there. There's a tiny little ramp for the seam of your pants pocket for it to ride up in. There's a lanyard hole, right? And while it looks like it's only right-handed carry, there are actually 2 holes which you can go ahead and drill through this other show side. And did I forget to mention, this is solid carbon fiber, so cool factor right there. That's pretty cool. And you know what? This is 30 bucks. And if you don't care for carbon fiber and you want the G10 and uncoated blade, they're $25 or like 24 something. So yeah, get this over that for sure. This will be in people's stockings. I know for a fact many people will get this knife in their stockings. This is an excellent stocking stuffer knife. Not gonna break anybody's bank. 25 bucks to 30 bucks all day, every day. I love this little thing. It's an excellent knife. And you know what? I use this little thing a whole lot more than some of my really expensive knives, just because it's that easy to just grab and go. So there is that. Now, if you do want a full-size button lock knife and you're willing to spend just a little bit more, this is the Best Techman Good Boy. It is made by an actual designer, a knife designer that knows what they're doing. It is manufactured by an incredible company. Wonderful tolerances, the action, the button, the way that everything is shaped and machined. This is floating around 50 bucks, right around there, and there are many retailers that sell it. White Mountain Knives, Blade HQ, and I believe you can purchase it directly from Best Techman's website or Best Tech's website, which is the parent premium brand company. The sharpening choil and plunge grind done very well. Super comfortable, slim in hand, rock solid in every dimension, and just excellent overall. This is getting a review soon, and you know what? This thing is an A++ budget knife right here. This thing is sick, absolutely wonderful. And the pocket clip, while it looks very, very thin, it is very welcoming to many different pant thickness pockets. I've had this in like sporty slacks. I've had this in thick jeans, and then some thin jeans, and even some like jogger pants, those like tighter sweatpants. So this thing is just an absolute wonderful piece of knife. And you know what? That's also in D2. It's uncoated, whatever, not a big deal. They have coated ones, same price. This right here, the Migron Knives Moyarl, this is around $50 knife, I think. You can sometimes find this knife and other color variations on nafsale.com. And every once in a while, well, I think I've seen maybe 1 or 2 come through Love Them Knives website. So he sells used knives, and every once in a while he'll get one like this if somebody's trying to sell theirs. You get T8 hardware all over, significantly more robust. You get a half-length backspacer matching with the scale material, G10, but you also get incredible fit and finish for the price, thickness in hand, comfort, safety, and a huge upgrade in blade material. This is 14C28N, will run circles around D2, coated or not. And while the thickness is a little bit thicker than the other ones that I've shown, it is essentially full flat grind that comes down to a very thin, very slicey edge. And for basic maintenance, this thing is super easy to sharpen, extremely easy to sharpen. Now, if you're willing to spend just a little bit more, this is a very, very recommendable knife. This is the CMB Made Knives Predator. This did come, and you can still find them. They're kind of rare, but they were floating around 50 bucks, I think. They were a D2 variation of the Predator. This one is actually in 14C28N, which floats around 60 to 70 bucks, I think. But again, you can find them on aftermarket selling websites like NAFSale or Love Them Knives website. So you're having Very strong Omega springs. It's a safe design. It's very comfortable. You get an upgrade, in my opinion, an upgrade in scale material and the blade material. 14C28N, very slicey, thick up there, thin behind the edge. Very easy to sharpen, very easy to use, and a wonderful, wonderful knife. If you want something a little bit fancier, if you like titanium, you want to get a little bit more spice in your life, this is one example, and then this right here is going to represent Tucson knives. This is the new Monocolor knives. I think I got this guy for like 40-45 bucks, something like that. And this is actual titanium. It's actual titanium frame lock. A wonderful pocket clip, a bent steel pocket clip, folded over, bent, whatever you want to call it. 14C28N blade material, a whole lot more welcoming in hand. I am planning to do a little flipper chop there, but you can still climb up on it if you want to. And it's an excellent cutter, an excellent user. You can see this thing looks like shit. It looks dirty because this thing has been put to some serious use. It's a good knife for sure. And then the last here to talk about is going to be the Tucson brand. Tucson works a lot with D2, so much D2, but they have plenty of stuff in G10, in titanium, some stuff in micarta. It's kind of rare, I don't know why, but you can get some cool stuff with Tucson for sure. This is just one example. This is actually in 14C, and then this is a very robust titanium frame lock, which is cool. And the action on here, fit and finish, excellent, absolutely wonderful. The D10 is a little bit heavy on this particular one, but I don't mind it as much. So you know what, there is a crap ton for you to spend your hard-earned money on. Do not buy this. Stay the hell away from this. So if you guys like this video, go ahead and leave a thumbs up. If you guys are subscribed, I most definitely appreciate all your guys' patience and support, of course. If you are not subscribed, consider subscribing because I have plenty more videos coming your guys' way. And with that being said, have a wonderful rest of your day.